Good morning, LinkedIn. Happy Thursday. Welcome to Let's Build Daily. I'm your host, Chris Carolan, and um, talking about a hot topic today, uh, the changing HubSpot navigation. Um, I think the only reason it's a hot topic is because it's change. I think once most people get into the new nav, and start using it and build habits around that. Uh, it's better organized. Um, uh, so that's what I wanted to chat about today. And but I'm already distracted because I pulled up the Amazon. I want to, as I'm going through this, like I want to be able to show some other examples. Um, just because I think there's a lot of design decisions being made that people aren't necessarily privy to, or really think about as these things change and why they change. And I see it a lot like we want customization, customizability of stuff like the navigation. Um, and I think that relates to uh, where they're going with it and where they have gone with it. Uh, So we say we want customization, we want flexibility, we want all these things, but when changes happen to support that, uh, we don't like it. We don't like change, right? I mean, I do, but uh, that's just me. And but so I was pulling up Amazon to uh, show this as an example, and um, I pulled up an incognito window and type in the Amazon domain. I don't know if anybody else has seen this before because usually you're logged in. And before I even get to the site, it's giving me a CAPTCHA. It says, sorry, we just need to make sure you're not a robot. For best results, please make sure your browser is accepting cookies. Has anybody seen this before? I wanted to show it because we often talk about Amazon-like experience. And it's like, okay, you're gating the whole website. Why would you possibly want to do that when everything's supposed to be easy, easy, easy? I think this is since they know that most of the people that are coming to Amazon are signed in, or they already know them, or everything is cookie based, so it's really important that this happens. And I'm wondering if there's like a cookie mechanism that somehow happens here. Maybe I just took too long to put it in, right? And then we get there, but I could definitely see like if all their web traffic data and all this stuff like supports like the contextual experiences they want to provide, like stopping robots from getting in and seeing stuff and impacting that data makes some sense to me. So I just wanted to share that. And while we're here, like, one of the things that I think has been pushed from a customer experience perspective, Amazon is like all about, top level menus and everything is a drop down. So, and I kind of see, experiences like this as the bar. And this is where, like, when you are the one controlling it, like, you manage the design of how things pop up and how things drop down, whether they're wider, whether they're longer, what are they overlaying? as we put all these options in here, like how do we manage information overload to try to get all the things in there? Um, you can manage that, but when you need to create an experience that can be managed by somebody else, I think that's when the sidebar comes into play. Slim makes a good point, or mentioned something interesting. A new complaint he heard yesterday is that there are more tool upgrade triggers all over the new nav. Yes, there certainly are. And again, like many people are asking for, while some of these are upgrade triggers, there's also, triggers like new. And I think just this trigger mechanism, or this way to highlight things, is going to become more prevalent, in the face of, people, people wanting to stay up to date or making it easier to discover what's new, right? So yeah, let's get into it. This is the old nav. You see, switch to the refreshed navigation on May 28th. 12 days. The original navigation will no longer be available. If you just want to hang on for dear life, you got 12 more days to do it. But there's very little. I just don't see the risk in just switching over and diving in right now. And I'll talk about why. Most of the immediate challenges are going to be habit-based. Like, I'm used to going here. I'm used to clicking over here. I'm used to seeing this word or that word, right? I mean, we don't even have, content over here. It's buried in marketing. Anyways, yeah, just jump in, and start building those habits now. Hopefully this session can help you feel comfortable doing that. But this is the old stuff. For anybody new, might be interesting to see if you haven't seen this yet. So we have this, home icon here. And one of the common complaints was that when somebody would ask where companies are, or how do I get to companies, the first thing you do is, okay, you got to click on contacts, right? Which personally I love, because that forces everybody to go through the fact that this is a system based around contacts, but it's just not intuitive, right? And just even saying that out loud, it's like, I want to go here. It's like, well, you got to go to this other thing first. But as we look at these drop downs, and when I talk about customization of the navigation, I'm making assumptions like, we want to be able to add links in the same way we can in the CMS. So then how are we designing for, the width of text, right? How do we make that easy to manage where somebody else can manage it and not wreck the design and wreck the user experience? Again, HubSpot's great at putting guardrails in place as far as not being able to wreck the intended usability of the platform, right? So under contacts, we have basically all of our, can't say that. CRM related stuff was here, right? So we've got, and you can just tell from this old nav, it was built and evolved over years. So under contacts, you have these two different objects, and then you have calls, which is an engagement activity. You have target accounts, which is another dashboard. And it's like, why wouldn't that be under sales? You've got custom objects because we've got nowhere else that it makes sense to go, but often related to any number of these other drop downs. You've got an activity feed, you've got list, right? Conversations. That was always a challenging one to talk about and explain to people. And in here, we've got places where you have the conversation, or a place where you have the conversation, and we've got tools to help you with conversations. Under marketing, how do we get to the website stuff, or where are the files? Didn't always make a lot of sense, and now we've got, as they bring out new stuff, right? We need to find places for it, right? For a long time, we had the commerce objects before, a couple months ago, were all listed under sales, right? And we're trying to make this separation between sales management and, commerce and operations related to getting the payments. And then here's one of these new tags that we were talking about. But then here's another dashboard, prospecting. In here, we've got some objects, we've got some activities, we've got some tools, we've got some reporting, right? So it's just clearly this needed to evolve over time to support all the things that were happening, but not super intuitive. The only way you could learn and kind of build those habits is just by using it over and over and over, right? Data management, and that's where, like, if you're not in here every day, you just have to go through and see what's what to remember where it's at, unless you're creating all these bookmarks, which some people do, and I recommend sometimes, right? But I think overall, not to say that the new nav makes, intuitive sense in every aspect, but I think there's some design decisions made behind the scenes, because this is, if you want customizability and there's going to be an ever expansive number of, tools, I think you end up limited with this drop down, functionality. So if we switch to the new navigation, and we see that this top bar is not going to change, but we're going to click on this. All right, so we switched. And let's just take a quick tour, shall we? Because I really want this. Did not exist when I first started using it, so I'm very interested in how HubSpot supports their own change here. Save time and effort with our new sidebar and a more powerful search. Take a quick tour. Find what you need easily. The menus are organized based on how you work, making it easier to find what you're looking for. CRM, like workspaces, which are, customer success, help desk, prospecting, like based at so roles based, usually on the organization, which if you haven't seen or used any of these yet, I think you're going to love. And they're going to keep developing them. Then we have CRM, which is all of our objects, but it's more intuitive for me. It's like, what am I trying to accomplish? Okay, I'm trying to manage data, right? On objects and records. I'm going to do that in the CRM. I need to do some outreach from marketing. I need to do marketing, so I'm going to go to the marketing tab, right? And we're moving away from hubs necessarily here. I think this moves us towards smart CRM layer and engagement layer, and that it's like, what are you trying to accomplish? If we got to build some content, we find it here. Commerce, we already saw that. We're just seeing it on this side now. We have automations, reporting and data, and library. So the menus are organized based on how you work, making it easier to find what you're looking for. Next, expand or collapse the sidebar to make it the right size for you. This is huge, right? And that's where these icons come in, right? You can only collapse it so far if you've got to worry about being able to see the text, right? In order to know which thing to click on. Are the icons immediately indicative of what they will be until you learn what they are? Not all of them. I mean, CRM and marketing, yeah. Like I had to squint a little bit to understand and maybe make some guesses that this is a wallet, right, next to commerce. But I mean, personally, I love iconography, so I think it's great for accessibility and not necessarily needing, to manage language barriers and how do we all think about these words, right, and define them. Just causes a lot of confusion, right? A more powerful search with keyboard shortcuts make it easy to find what you need, right? Making a space for a powerful tool like this, and kind of making it front and center. I think, like, as I think about it, it used to be, it's evolved to make it easier to go to the search and make it really clear on where that search is. A challenge in the past was, trying to get people to lean on that a lot more instead of, clicking around and like going to contacts just so they could search there for records, right? So leaning into that and how people, want to be using, websites and software. I love making that, more front and center. And then, of course, for now, for 12 days, you can switch back if you want to, right? But just 12 days. I don't know why you do that. Like, just dive in. Can't prevent this. So let's look at some of these changes. Like I said, in Workspace, Workspaces, we have prospecting and help desk. Apparently, I haven't turned the customer success workspace on, so I'm going to do that here. Join. So again, Workspace is designed for role specific work to be done, with the goal of, if you can probably spend 90% of your day here without needing to worry about even using the navigation, right? You get into these individual experiences that are designed for your work, and then the navigation doesn't even come into play anymore. Under CRM, we have all of our objects. Yay. All in one place. All of the data, right? Like even custom objects without having a custom object, additional level, right? So big fan of this shift. CRM data management is holding a lot of people back. CRM data structure. And when you make it hard to get to those things, and in the past, you had to do things like Okay, go to contacts. And then the only way I could get to something is to then hit this drop down, right? Before, before custom objects were available here, the only way you could get to it was on this screen and this drop down. So having this place is great. And then we've got some supporting tools related to this. Now this is a spot where does it make sense for these things here? Not so sure. But we'll see over time. Because we've lost the conversations drop down, right? So we've got to put these somewhere. This was under contacts. Tasks was under sales, which is not sales specific anymore, right? And that's another spot where tasks started, if we look at tasks, right, not going to see much here, but they've done a lot. Let's see what we got here. Need to get in here and check this out. But as people need more from project management, from a project management perspective, tasks originally started out as sales only for the longest time because it's very sales rep specific, right? And CRM specific. But then we've got marketing tasks too. People want the projects tool to be more involved and usable, right? When it's sitting under sales, right, and you want to serve these other places, we've got to think about that as we design these navigation spots. One thing I want to highlight is that there is no quick link to target accounts anymore. So originally, and I don't have it set up in this platform, but you would see it as target accounts here. Now you have to go to companies. This is the place I know of to get to it. And then you see target accounts, right? And this is where it's not really needed to be in the nav for most of the users. In theory, you have specific key account, managers or specific sales staff that are the only people, like maybe some leadership, that are the only people that this is relevant for. So do you want to see that on the global navigation? And until, customizability becomes a thing, I don't think it hurts to play with it outside of the navigation. It just had to go somewhere. And that's where they tried it first, right? But as they build out the prospecting workspace, here we see the customer success workspace active. But the prospecting workspace has some target accounts, labels and tags and management there too. And, do those spaces come together at some point? So I think that change makes sense, but I just wanted to highlight, if you're used to clicking on the target accounts, just like I was, first time I got frustrated. I had to find it, right? But I came to the place that it's related to, and it was there, which is the companies, right? So just take a breath when you see something is not where you expect it to be, and think about where it might have gone, right? So take 3 to 5 seconds to just take it in. Okay. Knowing HubSpot has a huge customer base, based on how everybody uses tools like these, like where could it have gone? It's probably not far away, right? But I'm interested to hear about any feedback that is to the contrary. Anything you just think is like so ridiculous. Why did they make this change? It makes no sense. I'd love to hear some of those use cases. I'm sure HubSpot would love to as well. We have marketing, campaigns, email, social, ads, forms, CTAs, SMS. This has changed. If we look at here, and again, Marketing Hub is the DNA, right? So there's so much over here. We've got landing pages. We've got this new content space that shows us a bunch of new stuff. Social, SEO, campaigns, design tools, forms. Right now, marketing is really related to channel management and conversions, and marketing stuff, right? Content has been pulled out into content. And now that it's called content, and there's a space for it to go, they can do that. So if you think of email, social, ads, email, social, ads, SMS, as channels to serve content, forms and CTAs to get conversions for people to get content, and then campaigns to kind of wrap it all together, right? Now, what are we not seeing in marketing that we expect to see in content? Content management stuff, content creation stuff, right? While you could say that content, like you have to write copy for email and social, it's really channels for distribution, right? The true content, if we look over here, website pages, landing pages, blog, podcasts, knowledge base, and customer portal, because these are, content pages on different domains. HubDB that supports, as a backend database. Content remix to create the content. SEO, how is the content doing? Are we writing the right content? Memberships management, who has access to the content? And design manager in terms of, CMS. But it's not just CMS. This is where you have some of your like quote template tools. A lot of the builders, and I could see this growing, like as we see, changes to the interface to kind of all come together on this. Let's see if I click on here, like this menu that we're starting to see on, workflows and other places where you're creating, web interface stuff. As we want more customizability, like we do for quotes, like quote templates are just using a different, CMS theme that's for quotes, right? So all this is like, I love to think about what opportunities it creates instead of, challenges to my daily habits, which will go away very quickly once I start using the tools. Uh, Commerce, said a ton about that. Love the fact that there's a place for it. Um, and something new for each of these spaces, or for some of them, and I didn't have it on marketing. I think there's a beta for that, but there's a dashboard at the top for each one. And I love that direction that they're going. But commerce, pretty straightforward: payments, invoices, payment links, quotes, products, subscriptions, automations, workflows, sequences, chat flows, surveys, reporting and data, right? Reporting and data, reports, forecasts, goals, dashboards, integrations, custom events, right? So having a place for these, especially integrations, that was like only accessible in the settings area. I'm curious if that's where it takes me. Yes, it does. But it wasn't super intuitive to understand where you need to go before. So I think that makes sense as we design for extensibility and build an extensible platform to bring that up to the top menu. So I think a lot of these changes, like, well, it's certainly going to impact you from a daily, management of HubSpot perspective. The longer, how do I put this? Like, you don't have to agree, and you can be comfortable just using Marketing Hub, right? Or just using a very specific space in HubSpot. Just understand that they are not designing for you. They are not developing for you when they say they're building a customer platform and everything becomes an object and extensibility and customization, right? They've built the whole foundation for the marketing only perspective. And now they're building on top of that, and they need to change some things in order to support that. Because in reality, if you're helping a business grow better, like they've said forever, you need more. You need to be able to do all this stuff. You need a 360-degree view of your customer. And if you're just living in marketing, every marketing coordinator, manager, director that wants to start managing a customer experience, if all you're doing is Marketing Hub, you can't do it. You just can't. So I invite, like, hopefully this opens the door, for a lot of people. We have library at the end here. So a lot of the tools, again, we still have stuff like meeting scheduler. I don't, that doesn't make sense in this group for me. But we have files, documents, playbooks, all these things we've got to create that are internal for our users to reuse. I don't know where meetings scheduler should go. So that's probably why it ended up here. But for me, that's probably the thing that makes the least amount of sense here. But hopefully, this was just a helpful overview on what's changing, my commentary as to why I think it is changing. I don't have any inside information or understanding of why they chose to do this, so it's all speculation. But when you see a lot of other softwares moving this direction, like using iconography to get to be able to communicate things in the interface, right? Like they've been doing this for years, right? Now all of a sudden it's a problem that we're doing it over here as well. Like, so just dive in. You will get used to it. I promise you. And I think most people will appreciate it. But just understand that, like, as they move towards customer platform extensibility and customization, that's behind the scenes of a lot of these changes. And I wouldn't expect less of it moving forward. So if you can find a way to get a little more comfortable um, with a little change every now and then, if you're a HubSpot user, I highly advise um, trying to build that comfort if you can, because they don't seem to be slowing down on product updates. And it's exciting time for a lot of people, but I understand if you're used to the same thing day after day, it can be jarring. But hopefully this is a helpful overview of the new nav, and you have 12 days left of the old one. So you got time. If you wait until you no longer have access to this, your day is not going to go well. From a perception standpoint, right? Like if you force yourself to react to it, it's going to be less. It's just going to be less valuable for you from the get-go, right? So if you can kind of like proactively move towards it, like don't let it be forced on you. Like you're just setting yourself up to not have a good time if you do that, right? So click in. Maybe it's just for a few minutes each day as you move forward with it, and then you can come back, to the old one. Whatever you got to do, like start trying this out. Don't wait till the 12th, or don't wait 12 days. And if you're an admin, certainly don't wait for HubSpot to make that decision for you and then have a team of surprise users that your next day or two will be filled with questions about what's going on, why, and find a way to address this proactively. Please, for yourself. And while you do that, find the opportunity and let's grow. Have a great day, everybody.